Hey everybody, it's Taki117 back with Star Quest, and here we have our lunar satellite very far away from Earth. We're just a few minutes away from entering the moon's sphere of influence, which is right over there. Got Jupiter and Venus in the background. So let's go ahead and time warp a little bit. And there we are, we're now inside the sphere of influence of the moon. So now all we have to do is gather some scientific data, and there are a couple of experiments we can do. There we go, transmitting that data home. Now, the contract says flyby, and I've already technically done that. So what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to circularize my orbit, or at least try to get into an orbit, and see if I can get into an orbit with my remaining fuel, so I have a communication satellite around the moon. So that would be really cool. Alright, so it's going to take 207 meters a second of delta V. I only have 105 left. Ooh, because this runs almost entirely on monopropellant. So, here we go. We are going to hope for the best. I do have my scanner on there, so I can scan the surface. Falling towards the moon, and it is falling. Because gravity is doing all of the work here. Let's see if I can. There we go. Oh, there we go. Scanning the moon. Now, obviously, I'm not going to get much, simply because, you know, I'm in the wrong. And there we go. I'm out of fuel, but I am in orbit. Let's see my scanner there. Yeah, it's quite a nice orbit, actually. So I still have to put a satellite in an equatorial orbit and test a radial decoupler. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Here we are on the pad with our standard satellite launcher, and do have this radial decoupler here for testing that part contract. There we go, that's succeeded. So now we have to get to a equatorial orbit. This should be quite interesting. No, it seems we've burned up our launch clamp there. This one doesn't have quite the delta V, so our other one does, or quite the thrust rather. I have to change that. pointing east as we roll into position. So why do rockets roll? It's less common now, unless of course you have side boosters, in which case you roll so that your boosters don't hit your rocket. But back in the days of the Apollo program, they would roll to align the guidance computer, because on the pad you were oriented in a northwest or a north-south direction, whereas in the air you had to be oriented east-west. So basically what they did was they put the rocket on the pad, and you had the astronauts pointing north and south, and then you would roll. They actually put the astronauts, for the space shuttle specifically, it was the heads down position. I believe Apollo went heads up, but I could be wrong. But the reason the shuttle rolled the way it did was because it has wings, and wings generate lift, so it wanted to, in order to reduce stresses on the connections between the orbiter and the fuel tank, it rolled heads down so that the wings would provide lift and reduce those stresses. We're burning for orbit. It's gonna be so nice when I get the Ascent Guidance program unlocked. And it's gonna take a little while. Stand by for main engine cutoff. Alright. There we go. Beautiful separation there. That's going to fall back and explode in the ocean. It's going to land in the ocean where it can't hurt anybody. And I'm burning straight for my target orbit of 227.7 kilometers. Now, the biggest issue is going to be this plane change that I'm going to have to do. Hopefully I have enough delta V in my satellite that I can actually pull it off. Nice view of that rocket. I have a upper stage there with orbital engine. Now this engine is specifically designed for space use. You can tell by because it has a larger engine bell, which allows for earlier expansion of those exhaust gases, providing more efficient thrust. we go. I'm gonna go ahead and ditch our turn. Beautiful. And then activate our antennas and our solar panels. Now this one is a little more activate that as well. So we've got a few more communication devices. This is mostly to facilitate additional communications. This is going to be an equatorial orbit. Circularize next to apophysis, and once again I will have to perform the maneuver. Ooh, I should probably deactivate my antennas. So that mostly so that I have enough electric charge to perform this maneuver. So it will be performed on the dark side. Of course, the dark side of the planet means no power. And this does have an alternator, so I will be able to charge. We'll be able to charge my batteries during the burn. 6 minutes to our burn, and I am going to have to stage in the middle of it. You can see fairing down there. Already starting to lose some electric charge. I'm only going to be about 50 meters a second short. Ooh. That wasn't supposed to happen. Oops. Okay, so I have 1900 meters a second for this plane change. So now comes the fun part. I want to change my inclination to 0 degrees. It's going to take a little over 1000 meters a second. This is going to be very, very interesting. As we warp. There we go. Full charge. Okay. I have to reach the designated orbit. Which means I need to perform this massive, massive plane change. Quickly burning through my RCS, unfortunately. But I don't really need it because I have these awesome reaction wheel here, and it's actually wrapped around the middle of my. Oh, hey, there's one of my other communication satellites. See my inclination dropping considerably. I also notice my periapsis is coming back up, which is good. Alright, let's activate that and point it at the moon. All of my tracking stations there, let's point that at the moon. And activate both of those, but I'm not going to give them a target just yet. There we go. We have to maintain stability for a few seconds. I want to point radial out just so I get as much sun exposure on those solar panels as I can. And mission complete. So let's head back and see what other contracts we can pick up for these enterprising Kerbals and their desire to reach the stars. And here we are on the launch pad with our Kerbals' newest generation of rocket. What's this? It seems they've got some illumination on the pad now, as well as cameras. Ooh, that one's a little wonky. Oh, looks like we have to fix our staging here. This satellite is also bound for an equatorial orbit. So let's go ahead and start the countdown. Rocket starts slowly climbing into the air. Ever so slowly. Nice look at those new engines powering it. As it climbs ever higher into the night. I am a tad concerned that this rocket isn't going to have enough Delta V . Mostly because I don't have a readout for this lower stage. I'm not moving very fast at all. So perhaps this isn't the best engine for the job. Only about 300 meters in the air. And only moving about 30 meters a second. This is kind of bad. Well, no time to waste now. It seems we're having a slight problem. Our rocket does not want to pitch over. There we go. Too much pitch. Looks like I will be flying this one manually. My guidance computer seems to have failed. Yes, my guidance computer has failed, which is fortunate. We are off glide slope. And it looks like very quickly running out of Delta V. Staged early, unfortunately. Seems we are picking up speed. Why is my guidance computer not working? This is an issue. I now no longer have the thrust. I'm going to try to make orbit. Odds of success are slim. Seems there's something very, very wrong with my guidance computer at the moment. Hopefully this issue resolves itself later. However, it may not. And this is why you always learn to fly your rockets manually. 11 seconds to apoapsis. Apoapsis is 9 kilometers. This is now approaching 10 kilometers, 8 seconds to apoapsis. This is not good. We are still climbing, however, not sure we're going to have enough delta V to reach orbit. Seconds to apoapsis. Now hoping to use the lifting body of the rocket. We're still climbing. I'm going to switch to surface mode, so that in the event I have to abort, "2 seconds to apoapsis." Something has gone very wrong. 1.5 seconds to apoapsis. Not started falling yet. We are effectively at apoapsis. Have a 4.5 minute burn time on the stage. I'm going to use every second of it to try and get into orbit. We have now passed apoapsis. We are falling. Current thrust is 208.8 kilonewtons. Is not enough. Okay, we are going to abort the mission. And we have lost the payload. I repeat, we have lost the payload. That is unfortunate. I will have to redesign that first stage engine to provide a more initial thrust so we can get off the pad faster. So it's supposed to be the new premier way of launching satellites. See the rocket spreading out. Most of it's going to crash into the ocean. Recovery crews will pick up the pieces, any that happen to survive. See them disappearing as they hit the surface of the water. This is, well, not a great loss. Something went wrong with the guidance computer. Now seems operational, not that it matters much. Payload is destroyed. And here we are back on the launch pad for a daytime launch this time. Not only has they redesigned the engines on the first stage, but this entire second stage has been completely redesigned. Some nice view. It looks like they even fixed the camera on the top of the tower. But oops, they forgot to add one along the rocket. And here we go. Absolutely beautiful launch. We are ascending nicely. Our guidance computer is still non-operational, or is once again non-operational. So we are going to have to fly this rocket manually. Curious what's happening here. This is not normally an issue. Yes, it is completely non-functional. So we are flying manually. You can see our engines working there. Do have a 2.5 minute burn time on this first stage, so we can use our mission timer up there to sort of account for that. You know what, we're just going to let this rocket fly itself, mostly, by keeping it pointed surface prograde. As it gets higher, we'll naturally just start to level out in sort of a true gravity turn. We are ascending quite nicely through the cloud layer. Looks like about 6 kilometers. Sorry, it has a very nice flight profile. See our space center there. We are still hitting our markers, which is good. Check our fuel levels again. Plenty of time. We have about another minute of burn time left. our mission elapsed timer is to be believed. See it tilting ever so slowly as we accelerate. Nicely in that glide slope. Plume expands due to decreased atmospheric pressure. We are right where we need to be. Still accelerating. We're 23 kilometers in altitude. And our pitch angle is approximately 25 degrees. This is good. This is right where we want to be. Once again, we no longer see our launch complex. Now I've been told that this is a new satellite design, facilitating the larger fairing. As you noticed previously, the previous satellite designs fit in an expanded 1.5 meter fairing. We are getting re-entry effects on ascent. Looks like specifically our particles. Should be very near engine burnout. Yes. We are still ascending, approaching engine burnout. And MECO, main engine cutoff. Separated from our first stage successfully. It will eventually fall back to Earth, crashing harmlessly in the Atlantic Ocean. We do still have a ways to go to reach our designated apoapsis. We're going to drift for a bit before kicking in our second stage engine to push us to our target altitude and eventually into orbit. Our first stage falling away there. Release our payload. It looks like they've got some new solar panels as well. These are more efficient and will provide more power. Activate our antenna. There we go. We are now going to circularize at our next apoapsis and hope for the best. And our guidance computer seems to be working again. It's very strange. It stopped working momentarily. There we go. Take us 300 meters a second to get into orbit. Hopefully that is not enough to perform the plane change, so I can ditch my second stage during the plane change and have it be in a decaying orbit so that it will eventually return to the planet. So let's change our inclination. Okay. Well, this is embarrassing. I seem to have over-engineered this particular rocket. I will have about 400 meters per second of excess delta V in my second stage, which is perfectly fine. However, it means that I will not be releasing my satellite as intended. Performing that maneuver. Now, I don't like littering in space. I don't like leaving stuff up there if I don't have to. So I'm not going to. There's no reason for me to decouple this upper stage just to have it potentially hit something further on down the line. There's no need for it. So it's going to stay there. We're successfully in orbit. Point radial out. There we go. So that's all for this episode. I'm Taki117, and remember, it's only rocket science.